I am Chief Roland Willson, West Moberly First Nations. I am located in northeastern BC. My nation is Dunne. We are the Dunne people of northeastern BC, the heart of oil and gas, forestry, coal mining, wind farm, large hydroelectric projects, Site C Dam. I don't know, hope everybody here knows what that is. Our presentation was put together real quick to talk about the changes to Bill C-69. Thank you for inviting us there. Thank you for considering what we have to say. The current issue with the BC and federal government's environmental assessment is that there is nothing in there about First Nations. And when we go through what's being recommended now, there is no consideration of First Nations. What we hear and see is they'll take it into consideration. Well, we've seen what consideration gets us. What does that mean? You'll take it into consideration. Is it the intent of the environmental assessment to unjustifiably infringe the treaty? That's a question that I have for you guys. Because we're not in here. The First Nations are not in here anywhere. We should be at the very beginning. The treaty is a constitutional document. It's part of the Constitution of Canada. But yet we don't show up until the very end of it. After permits have been released, after studies have been done. This is where we find ourselves in Site C.
If FPIC is adopted, as it appears the Liberal government will do, what do you understand FPIC to mean? Is it a veto? Is it some kind of collaboration between a nation, in a nation-to-nation discussion? What does it look like?
I can express what we've gone through. Site C is a prime example. We were never opposed to the construction, to the development of the energy. What we were opposed to is the means of creating the energy. Site C, flooding of the last chunk of Peace River Valley we had. We were never given the opportunity to have that discussion. So free, prior, and informed consent for us is be sitting at the table before the decision gets made. They made their decision to build Site C, then came and talked to us. That becomes a mitigative process, right? They've already decided that they're going to do the project. We had no other choice at that point in time. Now we find ourselves in court trying to stop this thing. There are proven alternatives to this project that we never got a chance to have a talk about, that are now identified being better solutions than to what Site C was. So FPIC, I agree, it depends on the project. You can't just, it's not a veto, but Site C was not a good project. It's not a good project, not by any means. It's been proven that it's probably the worst thing that we could be doing, but we never got a chance to sit down and talk about that. We were told we're building Site C, what are your concerns? And we'll take them into consideration. Speaking through experience, you're allowed to infringe on the treaty if it's justified. That's law. And unjustified, that's why I asked the question, is your intent to unjustifiably infringe the treaty? There is a test that's supposed to be performed called the Sparrow Analysis Test to justify whether or not the impact is justifiable. That has never happened. We were told that it didn't need to happen on Site C. Site C is the largest infrastructure project BC has ever seen. It's $12 billion. If that project does not justify a Sparrow Analysis Test, what project does? It's a death by 1,000 cuts. You can minimalize everything if you have the pen to do it with. They structured the whole thing away from a justification process. We were saying, let's look at alternatives, and they said no. Right? So they unjustified. They know now that there is no need for the power for Site C. There's no reason to destroy the last remaining piece of that river, but here we are. We're in court now because of this. A little First Nation, two little First Nations in northeastern BC have to fight Canada, BC, and BC Hydro, a Crown corporation with billions of dollars in their pockets to try and justify a development that's not needed.